Hello and welcome to Tips and Tricks Tuesdays with me, Valentina Vee. I am streaming live on Adobe Live on Behance. Hopefully, you can see me and hear me. If you can see me and hear me, then give me a peach emoji in the comments. Let's do a peach. And that way I know that you can see and hear me. We're doing a little bit of a different vibe today. I have Paco on the back end doing my live switching, and I'm not doing my live switching, which means that I can focus on teaching the lesson instead of the live switching aspect of the live. So that's really cool. But I do like hearing back from you as far as feedback because it's like maybe my mic is too loud, maybe my audio is too quiet, maybe something's happening, and I always want to know. Oh, the chat is not working, but the chat on YouTube is. So I'm gonna monitor the YouTube chat first, but I do like hearing back. If you click on like the name of the video that's embedded inside of Behance, if you're on Behance, that'll take you to the YouTube chat. So we have um we have a couple people in the YouTube chat there. So I'll be monitoring the YouTube chat until the Behance chat goes live. Maybe it's asleep, maybe it's hibernating, maybe it's in Texas. Who knows? But yeah, do let me know. It looks like people can see me and hear me, so that's good. How are you today? Today, we're going to be talking about some of my top audio editing tips, ways that you could save your audio, ways that shortcuts that you could take for your audio. There's a lot to go over, so let's just jump right into it and hopefully everything works. So hopefully you can see my screen here when we pop over to it. I have Premiere already open and I have a few clips on my timeline. This is for a project that I was doing. Basically, I directed a show a few years ago and now we're pitching it to networks, to executives. So I'm making a little behind the scenes featurette, a pitch video essentially for this show. So here I am inside of Premiere, and I have a couple of different clips. I have this clip of my friend Elia Licardi, and he is, um, oh, there's music going in the background. That's the first time I've had music going in the back. Maybe we should turn the music off just so that we can hear, like, thank you so much. So this is my clip of Elia Licardi, and then this is my clip of me. Now, we both recorded our audio separately from our video, meaning that we have this audio track here, which is the blue track, which is from our cameras, and I'll just play that for a sec so you can hear it.
I'm swarmed by other people. It was definitely interesting, and it was something that we knew we could only do once.
So as you can see, his audio levels are not only pretty low, but also they are pretty echoey. And my audio is completely different. So this is the audio from my camera.
That whole shoot was such a huge surprise to me because Jan had a makeup artist, hairstylist.
So both kind of really, really bad audios. That's why we recorded an external recorder. So I'll play the external recording so we can compare. So this is his external recording, and it's not going to match his lips because I haven't synced it yet.
It's hard to say which guest has been my favorite, but I think that title's going to go to Jan Gonzalez.
So you can hear that it's a lot clearer, but it's also a lot quieter. And the same thing with me over here, although it's louder for me.
It was such a huge surprise to me because Jan had a makeup artist, hairstylist, wardrobe stylist.
So obviously I'm going to be using the audio that I recorded on a separate recorder instead of the audio that came with the camera. The audio with the camera is just scratch audio. It's just reference audio. So real quick, let's just sync it up super quickly. So I have these two clips from him, two audios, two clips from me, and two audios. I'm actually going to highlight my clips, right click label and turn it to purple just so that we can see a little bit of a difference. And then I'm going to stack his clips one on top of the other. Then I'm going to select the first stack, right click and go to synchronize and press OK. And that is going to read the waveform and stack it up exactly so that his mouth movements now match. So now that we listen to it,
Make you feel like you're moving along with us.
And the same thing with every little bit of this. Now, there are many ways to synchronize audio and video. I like synchronizing it directly on the timeline, which is why I use the synchronize button by right clicking and going to synchronize. But there's also the multicam way to sync things, which I've made videos on. If you just look that up on YouTube, there's also the clip by clip way to sync it and then bringing it into the timeline. There's also a bunch of plugins, like for example, Pluralize is a plugin that I use a lot, where you don't have to stack them exactly like this on top. It just syncs the entire timeline. But this is quick enough. And as you can see, they're all here. I'm just going to close all the gaps by pressing Shift Command G, which is my shortcut for closing gaps, but you probably don't have that. So if you go to Command to the shortcuts, you can type in the word gap over here to keyboard shortcuts. And you can see for close gap, I have some shortcuts for myself. So now that I've muted this track right here, now we can listen to it and really hear what the actual audio is.
So all of these things combined.
And then here.
Of course, this is a photography show, but I wanted every episode to have something else.
Now, something that I want to call your attention to is the scale over here. It's telling me how many decibels and how high it's going. And ideally, you want your audio to sort of peak at between -6 and -12 over here. And if it isn't, you have to just watch it and make sure that at the very end of your edit, it is hitting up there. So I think currently neither of my audios is quite loud enough. You know, you have to think about like your headphones. What you hear is determined a lot by the volume of your computer, right? So it could be a really quiet video, but your volume's really high, so it's playing loud for you. And checking the scope here is the only way that you're going to ensure that it's actually around proper broadcast standards, right? So let's listen to this and be checking over here to see where it hits. And that's where you can really tell the difference in intensity between my audio and Elia's audio.
Of course, this is a photography show, but I wanted every episode to have something else.
So it's hitting around -18, which is way too low. And then his audio over here is even lower.
What's interesting about this project too is we're a really small team, a team of 4. Naomi and I co-produced this, Valentina directed.
He's hitting around -24 average. So we definitely have to bump both those audios up and even them out with each other. Hello, Sean. Hello, Tim. Hello, everyone in the chat. If you're on Behance, by the way, the Behance chat isn't working. So go over to the YouTube chat. Just click into the video and you'll be over on the YouTube page. So we have to even out this audio and we have to cut it up. So if you are exclusively editing within Premiere, there's a lot of ways to do this. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to, because right now it's not linked at all. So I'm going to highlight just the scratch audio, because maybe I'll be bringing this into other timelines that won't have it muted and I'll lose track of what is what. So I'm just going to highlight all of the scratch audio by pressing Alt and dragging a marquee box, right clicking, and then going to enable, so disabling all the scratch audio. Then I'm going to highlight each stack and group it. So right click and click group. So now it's all in one group, but you don't hear the scratch audio. The same thing over here. I'm just going to group it. Going to group this. And of course, there's also shortcuts for grouping, but I don't want to throw too many shortcuts at you all at once. So now that I have this, with editing audio inside of Premiere, one thing that you have to know is that it's non-destructive. So you can edit it at this stage, or you can edit it when it's all cut up already like this. It doesn't matter because it's not like you are baking in those corrections. You can always adjust those corrections. So if I were to start for example, editing my audio before I start cutting, I can just do it at this very stage. You can either go to the audio interface over here because Premiere has lots of different interfaces, or you can just pull it up from the window menu, which is what I'm going to do. Window and then Essential Sound. And here in Essential Sound, what Premiere essentially wants you to do, get it? Essentially? Essential Sound? Okay, I kill myself. What Premiere wants you to do is label or tag the audio as a different type or as a certain type. So luckily for us, all of this audio is dialogue audio. So we can select all of it. And it doesn't matter if you select it like this or press Command A to select it. It doesn't matter if the video clips are selected too, because Essential Sound is only going to be working on the audio clips. So it doesn't matter if the video clips are selected. And we're going to tag it as dialogue. So now all of this audio is tagged as dialogue, and it brings up all of these controls for loudness, for repair, for enhancement, EQ dynamics, you name it. So let's actually just go to Elias audios right here, because we're going to be editing his audios a little bit differently from mine, right? We're trying to match them up and we're trying to sweeten them. That's essentially what it's called, audio sweetening, when you clean up the audio and make it sound better. Another thing that I like to do when I'm audio sweetening is you generally want to listen to the same portion of the audio over and over and over again to see what those adjustments are doing. And if you're listening, if you're constantly having to place your playhead here, for example, and then play it for 5 seconds.
Thing about this project too is we're a really small team.
And then place it back, try to find where to place it back and then play it again.
Thing about this project too is we're a really small team.
And then place it back, and that just takes too long, and you want to be doing it as you're doing adjustments. So something that I like to do is use the I and O keys, which are, I and O on your keyboard, to place that in and out point where you want that that portion of the clip to play back. So I'm going to press I, I'm going to come forward, I'm going to press O. So that's the portion that I want. And then I'll just use the loop playback button, which is this one right here, loop playback, in order to loop it over and over and over again, so that when I play it, I can hear the same thing over and over, so I know my adjustments are working. So if I select that and then I press play, it'll just loop.
What's interesting about this project too is
if you don't have the loop playback button, it's actually over here in the button editor. Oh, why did my thing got so small? It's over here in the button editor. So if you open it up, you can find the loop playback button and then just drag it to your buttons over here. So I have this, let me make it a little bit bigger, make the range a little bit bigger. And again, I'm going to select both of these by holding down Alt or Option. And now I can do things like increase the clip volume. So let me play this, and as I'm playing it, I'll increase the clip volume, and I'll be watching my chart here, my scope, to make sure that I'm getting it to hit around the -12 to -6 range.
This project too is we're a really small team, a team of 4. What's interesting about this project too is we're a really small team, a team of 4.
There we go.
What's interesting about this project too is we're a really small team.
But now that I've increased that volume, you can actually hear the noise come through a little bit more. So for that, I'm going to just select reduce noise. So let's listen to that.
A team of 4. What's interesting about this project too is we're a really small team, a team of 4. What's interesting about this project too is we're a really small team, a team of 4. What's interesting about this project too is,
and now I'm hearing that there is maybe some S-ing going on in there, like when you have the hard S's in your speech and it sounds like this, right? So de-ess is another really good option for that. And I know that, it's just a fact that female voices are going to S more than men's voices. So I know for my audio, I'll probably have to de-ess it a little bit more.
We're a really small team.
So this is before de-essing.
What's interesting about this project too is we're a really small team, a team of 4. What's interesting about this project too is we're a really small team, a team of 4. What's interesting about this project too is we're a really small team, a team of 4.
So we got that. And if there was reverb, we could get rid of it. on the reduce reverb slider, let me actually show you what that would sound like with with enabling the original audio, just because it has a lot of reverb in it. So I can show you what the reverb slider does. So I'm just going to select both the audios, right click and go to enable, and it's going to switch which one is enabled, which one is disabled. So you can hear what the original audio sounds like.
What's interesting about this project too is we're a really small team, a team of 4.
So it's really echoey. So if I select it and then go to reduce reverb, that's going to reduce that echo in the room.
What's interesting about this project too is we're a really small team.
So this is with the reduction.
What's interesting about this project too is we're a really small team, a team of 4.
And this is without.
What's interesting about this project too is we're really small.
So if you do have an echoey room, like say that you didn't have a microphone like I do right here, right up to your mouth, you can still reduce a lot of that echo with the reduce reverb button. So I'm gonna flip it over back to our nice audio. So now that we have this done, let's go over to mine and see what we can do. We can also, by the way, for this, we can also do some enhancements, like we can do vocal enhancements over here under enhanced speech. So we can do enhanced speech for male and see what that sounds like.
We're a really small team, a team of 4. What's interesting about this project too is we're a really small team, a team of 4.
So that's awesome, and it's hitting the right volume level. So let me go over to mine and select an in and out point that I can listen to over and over and over again to get a good reference. So let's see here, maybe this. In with the I button.
Of course, this is a photography show, but I also wanted to highlight aspects that were cultural, like...
Yeah, so there we go. Paco, if you could put me in the bottom left, that way we can see the whole essential sound panel.
This is a photography show, but I also wanted to highlight aspects that were cultural. Of course, this is a photography.
Okay, so you can see that there is still a little bit of echo there, so I will need the reverb reduction. So I'm going to select both, go to reduce reverb. Let's listen to what that sounds like.
Photography show, but I also wanted to highlight aspects that were cultural. Of course, this is a photography show, but I also wanted to highlight aspects that were cultural. Of course, this is a photography show, but I also wanted
going to make it louder.
Highlight aspects that were cultural. Of course, this is a photography show, but I also wanted to highlight aspects that were cultural.
Awesome. So that's how, you would do it. Inside of Premiere Pro, you would basically repair the speech. There's also like reduce rumble, de-hum. There's a clarity slider, there's EQ as well. There's lots of things to play around with and see. But I think for these clips, for now, we are good. We did them, and we have some stuff already cut up here. Let's actually go to this. So this is already cut up. And one thing that I want to sort of talk about is background music and how to cut background music, because if you're taking a background music clip and you're trying to shorten it for whatever the length of your video is, and you can't quite line it up because everything is in 1/24 of a second, everything is in frames, and sometimes your beats don't quite line up, there's a way to fix that. But first of all, how do you get the music on here in the first place? Well, if you don't have a place that you're already signed up with to get music, like you don't have a music library that is like your go-to, that you're always going to and you're always seeing, there is a way to do it within Premiere Pro itself. So you can see that this whole time under Essential Sound, we've been in the Edit panel, right? But there's this new panel, which don't be scared if you don't know about it because it's pretty new. It's the Browse. So if you go to Browse, Adobe's actually partnered with a few music libraries to bring lots of different music to the ecosystem. And not only that, but this music is really good. Like, it's really top notch, and you can search for it by like mood or by genre. You can filter it by tempo, duration, or by which audio partner it is. Now, this music isn't free. It's free to try out and test in your timeline and audition in your timeline. But if you actually want to use it, you do have to license it and buy it, okay? Especially if you're putting it on YouTube, because it's going to get caught by your monitors, which is why I'm not going to be playing a lot of it. But let's just say that we have it here.
Moments in time is
I did not add the effects to this, which is fine, because what I'll do is, like, say you have something already cut up and you're not audio editing before you actually edit, but you're trying to audio edit after you actually edit. So something I'll do is I'll actually lock these two tracks. I'll lock the video track and the first audio track. I'll right click, because everything that's Elia's audio is green and everything that's my audio is purple. So I'll right click, I'll go to label, select label group. So that selects all of his audio. I'll go to edit, mark it as dialogue, and then, do those corrections that I did before, like the reduce reverb and the reduce noise and the enhance speech for male. And then I could do the same thing for me, right click, label, select label group. That means I selected all the purple ones. Dialogue. This is why I like to label them before I cut them up, so that later I can just adjust things really quickly. So I'm going to just throw on those same adjustments that I had before. Let me enhance speech for female as well. So now I can listen to it and it's all good.
Huge passion project for us. And what started...
Actually, this went a little bit too heavy on the reduce reverb. There we go. Okay, great.
As a bunch of...
All right. So now I'm going to try to add music, and I'm going to go to the Browse tab. And something that's really fun is there's this button at the bottom, or this check box at the bottom, called Timeline Sync. So that will allow you to play the song in your timeline at the same time to audition it into your timeline without actually putting it into your timeline. So say, for example, that I wanted my song to start like midway through, like at this point in time, that is where I want to introduce a new beat and a new song. So I want it to start there. So I'm going to go into moods, and the vibe that I want is, I think it is like kind of maybe a circusy, clowny vibe. So this is, I'll go to, let's see, happy and quirky. Cool. And then for genres, I'll do pop or electronic. There we go. And now by holding Timeline Sync and then pressing play on any of these, it'll actually play it along with my timeline. Andre is a delight. I knew that if I was going to be... and I can also adjust the volume over here, because that was a little bit too loud. So I'm just going to adjust it down and then audition some more stuff. So the other cool thing is that every time I press play, it jumps back to the position where it was. Okay, but the thing is, I already know the songs that I want, and so I'm just going to bring it in and show you how I cut it. So the first song that I want is called Future Yellow, and I already have the license to it. We already purchased it, so I'm just going to drag it in. And what I want is, I want all of I want 3 tracks on this timeline, right? So obviously I have to cut this music track up, because I want it to be like, this is the first beat, or this is the first chapter of the video, this is the second chapter of the video, and this is the third chapter of the video. So each one is going to have a song. And this first song, called Future Yellow, it is way too long. So I'm going to customize the shortening of it. I'm going to do it manually. So first of all, I'm going to right click it, label it, do something like yellow, so that it's a different color, because I love colors on my timeline. And then I'm just going to go into it and start looking at the actual waveform, because it can tell me a lot just by looking at it. And I already see that it has a couple of different chapters within it already. There's this one that kind of begins it. Then there's this one that has the dips. Then there's this one that is more solid. And then there's this one. This is what I like to see when I choose background music. I like to see that it has different little beats and chapters and melodies in it. I don't like having everything just like solid all the way through, because I can play with that. I can play with the chapters in it. And, you know, maybe this is just like a nitpicky preference, but it's something that I enjoy. So I'm going to solo it by pressing the S. That way we don't have to listen to me talk all over it for now. And let's just listen to the very beginning of it. So that intro line went twice, right? The da 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 da, and then it repeated again, da 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 da. And I want to cut it down to only one time because I don't want it to be too much because it's annoying. So what I'm going to do is take a look at these peaks, right? You can literally see it right here where it goes, like you can see where it starts and then where it does it again. So right where it starts doing it again, that's where I'm going to press Command K, and that's going to cut it. Bam, right there, right? Right there is where I want to cut it. So I'm going to cut it there. Command K, right? And I'm going to bring it down underneath, because what I want to do is line up these peaks so that they don't have that dissonance that's like da-da-da-da-da-da. So if I'm trying to line them up, they never line up exactly. You see that they're almost lined up, but they're not lined up exactly on top of each other. And if I go one frame to the left or one frame to the right, so I can go to Alt and then scooch it one frame to the left and one frame to the right, it doesn't ever quite line up. I mean, this is a pretty good lineup, but that's pretty good, but it's still not perfect. It's still not exact, as you can see. And in fact, I can't even zoom into my timeline anymore to see it any further. Or can I? Well, right now, as you can see along the top here, I am viewing this in frames. I'm not viewing this in audio time units, so I can't even zoom in more. So if I right click and go to show audio time units over here, now I can zoom in a lot more and a lot more detailed. And I can start seeing that, hey, this rise that's happening right here in the song, this one, is actually over here. So it's not lined up. I have this high peak over here, and that same high peak is over here. So it's not lined up. And if I try to move it frame by frame, it's going to keep skipping over. But now that I have my audio time units turned on, I can scooch it as infinitesimally as I can, and it's going to line up perfectly. So right now, for example, if we listen to the way it is without scooching, it's probably going to sound somewhat okay. Let me scooch it off a little bit even more so that you can hear the dissonance, because I think I did a pretty good job of lining it up from the jump. But it sounds something like this if it's not lined up. See that the da-da-da-da-da, right? So if I want to line it up, the first thing I'm going to do is there's this snapping that's on the timeline. And if you have the snapping enabled with the little whatchamacallit, magnet over here, that means that it's always going to snap to whatever's on the timeline. So we're going to turn snapping off. You can also press S in your timeline. And I'm going to just like zoom in real close and then start scooching, start lining it up until I see that it's perfectly aligned. Now you might be like, wow, this is a lot of effort. This is a lot of work. This is the kind of detail work that is going to get you hired as an editor. This is the kind of detail work that people don't necessarily know you're doing or appreciate, but it's gonna be the thing that sets you apart. It's gonna be the thing that's like gonna be, oh, okay, so this person, for some reason, their audio always sounds perfect. I wonder why that is. So now that I have everything lined up, we can listen to it. I'm gonna solo these two so we can listen to it. It's not gonna sound dissonant at all. See? So now what I'm just going to do is I'm going to just shorten this a little bit, and then I'm going to bump it up by pressing Alt up. So it's perfectly aligned. It's bumped up. And then I'm even going to insert a little bit of a fade. So I'm going to go to Effects, Constant Power, drag that in, make it a little smaller. There we go. Perfect. It's a perfect match. Looks like Reverb Mike says waveforms are my favorite. Cesar Nicola asks, there are sound effects too in the essential audio. Right now it's just music, not sound effect. Actually, maybe there now are a few, but for the most part, no. But if you deselect everything over here, something that you can do is they do have stings, right? Which are these like shorter audio clips, which are like, da-da-da. I don't know if you watch RuPaul's Drag Race. I do. And they have some very common stings that always give away the plot, because it's like, oh, well, if this person gets the rattlesnake sound effect or the rattlesnake sting, then that means they're going home. So you can go take the duration from like the 20-minute mark, which is what it's set at by default. And you could take it to like, let's just take it to like 19 seconds. And all of a sudden, now you see all the stings that are happening, like this one. Oh, let's undo timeline sync so we can listen to just that by itself. That little sting, right? Da, 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 or this one. So they do have those. All right, so we did how to sync. We did some editing of dialogue within Essential Sound. We did how to find and timeline sync within Adobe Stock. We did audio time units. Now, this is like the hard way to do this, right? There is an easier way to shorten your audio inside of the Adobe ecosystem. So let me show you this project where I have, this is a project that I was doing for a client called Curiosity Box, which is a subscription box for thinkers, for scientists, for people who like science toys. And for this one, let's just go here. For this one, there's all these different videos that I was making. So I was making, they have like 6 or 7 different products. So I was making a video for a product that's all about books. I was making a video for a product that's all about discs. Like these are just the items that they have in their Curiosity Box. And each video requires a different audio, right? And each video can't be longer than 30 seconds. So I know that the bunch of audios that they gave me, all the music that they have licensed for their brand, is too long, but I also need to quickly cut it down because I don't really care about being super, super on the beat with every single video. I just need it to be background music, essentially. So what I do is I'll actually use Remix inside of Audition. So here I am inside of Audition, and I'll go File, Open, and I'll open up all of the clips that they have licensed that they want me to use. And of course, everything over here in Music. So I'll open up the clips that they want, which are Digital Memories, let's see, 145. And let's just open up these. All right. And then there's another one called Digital Memories. No, we don't like that one. We'll close selected file, and don't be scared by this. I'll just move it down so you can see just the waveform for now. I think it's here somewhere. There it is. Okay. So here's like a bunch of files and they're all over 3 minutes long. I want all of them to be actually under 30 seconds. So how do I do that really quickly in just a few minutes? Well, we can't use remix in this form when the audio is just an audio clip inside of Audition. We have to put it into a multi-track sequence. So we're going to go over to multi-track. And as you can see, there's the files up here and there's the waveform and then there's the multi-track. So we're going to go to multi-track. And as soon as we click that, or we could go to File, New Multi-Track Session, same thing. It's going to say, hey, you're starting a new multi-track session. Where would you like to save it? It's kind of like, hey, you're starting a new project in Premiere. Where would you like to save it? So I'm going to say, yes, I would like to start a new multi-track session. Thank you very much. I'm going to go to Browse, select that folder that I was working in. So the music folder over here. And I'm going to call it Remixes. And what's cool is that it has like all of each of these tracks. I can pretty much put every single piece of music that I want to use in this entire project that I have to remix all on the same multi-track session and work with them that way. So I'm going to select all of them, like all 4 clips. And as I'm dragging them into the multi-track session, I'm going to hold down Alt. And there they all are. They're all on different tracks now, right? If I didn't hold Alt, they would all be on the same track, one after the other. So now that they're all in the multi-track session, you can see how long they are. One of them's 1 minute. Most of them are about around the 3-minute mark. I want all of them to be around the 30-second mark, and then I'm going to export them. So I'm going to select each one. It should be, I'm going to select it. And as soon as I select it, in the Properties tab, there is this button called Enable Remix. And that means that artificial intelligence, Adobe Sensei technology, is going to crawl through that file, analyze it, see where the beat is, see where the cuts can be, and automatically cut it to whatever length I want. So I'm going to say Enable Remix, and I'm going to do it for all 3 of these, or all 4 of these at the same time, because I ain't got time to open up a new multi-track session for every single one of these audio clips. All right, so now that I've enabled Remix for all of them, obviously if I play all of them at the same time, it's just going to cause chaos, right? So I'm going to mute everything except for the very first track that I'm working on. And right here under target duration, I can now type in 30 seconds, right? So it's going to have a standard deviation of plus or minus 5 seconds, because obviously it can't exactly do 30 seconds every time. Different music has different beats and different melodies and different tempos, but it's going to do its best to stick to 30 seconds. I'm going to press OK. And as you can see, it's inserted cuts already. It's inserted 3 cuts denoted by these squiggly lines. And let me actually zoom in so you can see it a little bit better. So there they are. That's the first cut. That's the second cut. So it did essentially exactly what I did manually for you just a few minutes ago, but it did it automatically, right? And it's inserted that cut. And let me just play through one of these cuts. Let me play through this cut and show you what it sounds like. Or let me play through this cut. Perfectly lined up, right? And it's around 30 seconds. And now I can go to File, Export, Multi-Track Mixdown. It doesn't matter if it's entire session or selected clips because I muted everything else. So either way. And then I can just put it, I can select, okay, where do I want it to go? I want it to go into Curiosity Box, into Music, Save. And this is the one that I want to call 125 because that's the name of the track. And I'm going to press OK. Then I'm going to mute that, unmute the next one. Now I can type in 30 seconds just like I did before, or there's this little handle at the very end of it. It looks like a little like stairs kind of, if you can see right there. And if I hover over it, like this is just on the bottom, the red one, that just elongates the and stretches the actual track. This one is the remix one, and you can see the little remix logo that popped up. So if I just want to take it down to 30 seconds, I don't even have to type in the word 30 seconds. I can just move it over here and it does it automatically. Now you can see this one is a little bit longer than 30 seconds because it couldn't quite cut it down. It gave me these two cuts here, but it couldn't quite cut it down to 30 seconds. And if I try move it to 30 seconds, it punches that out to 45 seconds. So I can maybe try to move it to like 25 seconds. It punches it out to 40 seconds. This is the best it can do. That's fine. Don't worry about it. So we're going to just save that. We're going to go to File, Export, Multi-Track Mixdown, Entire Session this time because it doesn't matter because we only have one thing selected or one thing enabled. We're going to call it 145 and we're going to press OK. Now it's 40 seconds long, right? But what if we want it to be exactly 30 seconds? And I'm talking exactly. Well, this is something else that I do, which, you know, is frowned upon by pretty much every single composer ever, but hey, we're giving the real tips over here. So, and isn't that a show? Did I inadvertently just say an actual copyrighted thing? Oh well. So it was called 145 right here, right? So let me just drag 145 into the music folder and let me drag it over here onto my music. There it is. Now let's say I want it to be 30 seconds. Let's say that there's like some sort of outro screen here and it goes all the way to 30 seconds so that, you know, we don't have to, let me just put a little, a color matte, call it off-white outro matte and stick it into here. And then pretty much like bring it out to 30 seconds. Let's just say that maybe this is a 30-second ad and everything has to be 30 seconds. So this is what I like to do. First of all, I don't need a lot of this tail end because it just trails off and I can make it trail off sooner. So I'm going to cut it a little bit off so you can hear it. It sort of ends abruptly now. So I'm going to add a little bit of a fade effect, an additional fade effect. It's very loud. Sorry about that. Let me go to edit, tag it as music, and then take the level down. Great. And now I'm just going to press the rate stretch tool, R, and rate stretch it to be a little bit faster. So let's listen to it before I rate stretch it. Let me just solo it. So it's kind of slow. I'm going to rate stretch it to be faster, and it's going to sound like this. Still fine to my ears, even though it's a little bit faster. So if you right click and go to speed duration, there's another thing that you can do to make it sound even better, which is select maintain audio pitch. And this is something that means that the pitch of the audio is going to be the same. It's just going to be quicker. So it's not going to sound chipmunky. So if you click maintain audio pitch, it's going to sound even better. Give it a second to render. See how it didn't go up in pitch now because I made it faster? It stayed with the same pitch. Pretty cool, right? So now One other thing that I really like to do before I finish my projects is, let's actually tag this as dialogue, and let's tag it. Let's just make it a little bit less reverby and give it some enhanced speech for male.
Is it material science?
Let's just listen to it for a sec.
And way out!
It's way too much, right? It's way too loud. And the background music is way too loud as well. So I'm going to take the level down to like -24 decibels. And something else that I like to kind of do is you can see that the beginning of this track is a lot quieter than the rest of the track. So if I see that happening, I'll just quickly place a little keyframe to ramp it. So I'll place a keyframe on this volume line, which cuts through the middle. It'll be easier to see if I deselect it, but you can see this volume line that cuts through the middle. I'm going to press Alt and click on it while holding down, Command. While holding down Command, I'm going to come in to the end of where I want my ramp to be, hold down Command, and then just drag the volume line down a little bit after that, just to even out the intensity. Because it's supposed to be a background track, so it doesn't make sense for it to be like really, really quiet at the beginning and then louder. So there we go. But this volume line is independent of the general clip volume level that I have set here. So if I move this clip volume level, it's going to just move the volume of the entire track independent of the keyframes that I set, which is awesome. Give it a second to render.
Let me show you one of them. These metal discs aren't just made of metal. They're made.
So one other thing that I like to do is insert like little fades in between all of the audio clips. And you can see there's already one here, but I'm just going to delete it. So the reason I like to do that is because there might be pops, there might be plosives. If you're editing like a 20-30 minute video, then there could be those little like pops in between. So I go ahead and I drag the constant power effect in between just two of those, make it really small. So like 2 frames, as small as possible. If you're not sure that this is 2 frames, you can always right click, go to set transition duration and check that it's 2 frames. And then I copy it, Command C, come on out. And then what I'll do is while holding down Command, drag a marquee box, and that selects all of the cut points. And then you press Command V, and that'll just add that 2-second transition or 2-frame transition in between every single one of those dialogue clips to just smooth out those transitions, especially when it's happening, for example, underneath a B-roll clip, right? So it just sounds like a continuous thought and not that you cut out a bunch of ums or that you just cut out an entire sentence or something like that. So yeah, we did syncing, essential sound editing, Adobe stock, audio time units. We did remix, but what about if there's stuff in our audio that we just don't want to hear? Like what if there's like a pop in the middle, or what if there's a siren going through our audio? Or what if the tools within the essential sound panel are just not strong enough for us? Like for example, the correction for our reduced noise or our reduced echo or something is just like not quite getting there. Well, let's take a look at that. That is my sort of like creme de la creme de la Edgar. It is like what I live in, what I love doing. Also, if you have any questions, let me know in the comments. I think the Behance chat, by the way, let me just refresh it, but I think it's still down. So instead, you can go to the YouTube channel, which is Adobe Video and Motion, and you can see that I'm live there. Okay, so I'm just going to go to, okay, so this is a vlog. I don't vlog, by the way. This is just something that I made for the purposes of demonstration. So here's a vlog, and one thing that to note is that when you are using Adobe Audition and you're sending clips over from Adobe Audition and then saving them in Adobe Audition so that they update in Premiere Pro, you want to send full clips. It's harder if you're sending sections of clips. What do I mean by that? Well, if I were, for example, if there was like something like this, where everything was already cut up. Let me not solo that. Let me mute the music and go to the audio here. So if I had some sort of issue with like a pop, or the microphone was being weird, or there was some sort of issue that I had to heal out of this, and say it's in, let's say it's in this clip, for example. Right now, the clip has been edited non-destructively, which means if I wanted to take it out of here and expand it, I could. If I wanted to go ahead and edit some more within the essential sound panel, I could. There's a million ways to do this. But if I wanted to take this into Adobe Audition, I would be editing somewhat destructively. And let me show you how. So the first thing that I would do if I was doing something like this was I would duplicate it by going to Alt and then dragging. So now I have a duplicated version of that clip. And then if I wanted to send this to Adobe Audition, I would right click, go to Edit Clip in Adobe Audition, and then it would send it to Audition where maybe I want to do some other edits. It's not playing. It was just very, very quiet. That's what it is. It's very quiet. If I bring up the spectral frequency display, I can see it's there, but it's just very quiet. So I can go ahead and increase my decibels over here to try to get it to be a little bit louder. There it is.
While trying to navigate this street, Val's walking backwards with a gimbal. People are crowding and flooding around her. People are bumping into me, looking at us like, what are we doing? It was so wild. Just fun.
So if I wanted to, for example, there is a little bit, I can already see it visually here in the spectral frequency display. There's already a little bit of noise that's going through right here at the top. And I can see it, it's right there. It's like a high frequency pitched thing that you probably can't hear because of the way that this live stream is being transmitted, but you can definitely see it, right? You can see this line that's going through the very center top kind of the central frequency display. It's right here. So if I wanted to heal it out, for example, because it ends over here, like maybe this was like a fridge noise or an air conditioner that was turned on. So I'm going to heal it out of here by going to the marquee selection tool over here and just drawing a little box around just that frequency right there, and then deleting it. So now it's gone.
So wild, just following.
And I wanted to save this. As soon as I save it, it actually pops back into Premiere and shows up there as the edited version. So if I go to pop into Premiere, right now it's not quite updated and saved yet, but if I save it, before I save it, you can see it has a little star next to the name of the clip. But if I press Command S and save it, the star goes away, which means it's been updated within Premiere. And I go over here, back to Premiere. You can see now it has totally updated that sound with the adjustments that I have given it inside of Audition. But the problem is that this is now all the clip can be. I can't extend it, right? Because it has these little end handles now. You can see the little triangles on the very edge of it, which means that that is all that clip is. So I have now edited it destructively in that I can't do anything else. I can't extend it. If I wanted to later in the edit place those fades, like if I place it back in, for example, like this, and I wanted to put the constant power, it won't let me put it on both sides because there's nothing on the other side. So before doing something like this, what I would do before sending it to Audition in the first place, so I'm going Command Z, is at the very least, I would extend the trim handles over here before sending it to Audition. Then I'd go right click, edit clip in Adobe Audition, because at least then I have a little bit of play on each of the trim handles. And now I can go ahead and let me just increase this in decibels. There we go. So we can see it a lot better. And now I can see that entire little streak that is running through it. And by the way, if you don't have the spectral frequency display, which is this kind of heat map enabled, you can go to Window, and it should be, where is it? It should be in here. View, sorry. It's View Show Spectral Frequency Display. That's what it is. View Show Spectral Frequency Display. Because without it, you can't even see that has a high-pitched noise that starts and ends in that clip. But if you go to View Show Spectral Frequency Display, all of a sudden it is just very clear. And so, I can draw a little marquee box around it. I can do that. I could delete it. But before I do that, I can actually clean it up a little bit because I have this area of pure noise. So if you listen to it now, let's listen to a section of it. And I could do the same thing where I listen to it over and over and over again by highlighting a section and then using the loop playback tool over here. Same thing we did in Premiere, right? So I just selected a section by going up to the waveform and just highlighting a section, and then the loop playback tool so I can play it back.
It was so wild just following him and trying to keep up with his photography and his teaching.
You can hear that little, it's just like noisy in the background, right? So I would select a section of the audio that is just noise. So if you just play this noise, it's just noise. That's all it is. This is why we like to record room tone when we're recording for like on film sets, because we want that pure room tone, that pure noise. We'll do that. We'll go to Effects, Noise Reduction Restoration, Capture Noise Print, which means this section of the video is a noise, or this section of the audio is a noise print. This is pure noise. That's what it's telling the program. Then we deselect it, and now we apply that noise print reduction across the entire clip. So we're going to say, whenever you hear this particular set of frequencies, remove it. So we're going to go to Effects, Noise Reduction Restoration, Noise Reduction Process. And then over here, obviously there's all sorts of sliders that you can do and get and adjust, but let's just go with the default for now and listen to that.
Navigate this street, Val's walking backward.
And let's actually select a section, and we have our loop playback tool selected over here, and we have this toggle that toggles the noise reduction on and off. So if we press play, I'll play it to you with the noise reduction and then without.
While trying to navigate this stream, while trying to navigate this stream, while trying to navigate this stream, while trying
this is with
to navigate this stream, while trying to navigate this stream, while trying to navigate.
And now I'll play without
this stream while trying to navigate this.
You maybe can't hear it, but trust me, it's doing a lot. I'm going to deselect it because if I keep a section selected and press apply, it's only going to apply it to this section. So I'm going to deselect it and now press apply. And then it applies it throughout. And then I'm going to press save. and then go back to Premiere. And now it's been updated in Premiere with those handles. So I can always, you know, now drag it up over here. But the thing is, why would I want to do that after I have edited it, right? I would want to do that before I edit. I would want to do that in this stage, right? Before I insert all of those edits, I would want to right click it, go to right click, edit in Adobe Audition. And before I insert any of those edits, that's what I want to do. But what if I never did? What if I forgot that entire step and I went ahead and edited everything? And now I'm like, shoot, oh no, that now I have to go, and every single one of these clips, I have to drag it down like this and then expand it and then right click and then send to Adobe Audition and then go through that entire process of capturing the noise print and making the noise print and all of that nonsense. No, of course not. Of course not. Of course there's an easier way to do this. So let's just pretend that you did not do any of that, right? You went ahead and edited your video and now you're like, oh, snapperoonie, that's not great. I need to go back and re-edit, right? No. So there's only a couple audio clips that are playing in this. Remember at the very beginning when we were looking at this, there was only actually 4, right? So if you just right click on the actual audio clip, right click, go to reveal in project. It's something's already written here, so it's not going to show up. So I just got to cancel it. Right click, reveal in project. It's going to reveal it here, right? So then you can go right click, and you can say, wait a sec, reveal in project, or you could go right click, reveal in Explorer, which is going to, or reveal in Finder if you're on a Mac, and it's going to pull it up in your Explorer or in your Finder. Is going to pull up the original file. So what you want to do is not change the original file. What you want to do is create a second version of it, edit that version, and then replace that version within your editing program. So what do I mean? So we have Zoom 006 here. I'm going to go to new. I'm going to go to folder. I'm going to create a new folder, and I'm going to call this copies. And then the Zoom 006, I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to paste it into the copies folder. And just so that it's a little bit different, so that I'm aware, I'm going to do _copy, right? And then this entire clip, I'm going to open up inside of Adobe Audition. So open with Adobe Audition. So now I have the whole clip, right? So now I can, I can do that thing where I added a bunch of audio, or a bunch of intensity to it. I upped the decibel level. I upped the loudness of it. I can see that it has this awful high frequency hum, and it has another one over here that's a little bit lower frequency, and it has just a lot of noise. So I'm going to find a section of it, which is like the largest section, the largest noise print I could possibly find first. So I'm going to do Shift P, which is the shortcut for create a noise print. And now I'm going to go Shift Command P, which is the shortcut for the noise reduction effect. And I'm going to just play a section over and over again.
Like once we started moving through a crowd, or just like once we started moving through.
Good. I'm going to press up. Oh, forgot. I had to not press apply to that section. I had to deselect and then press apply. So let me do that. Press apply. It's going to apply the noise reduction to the whole thing. Of course, I could do other things like dynamics and EQ if I wanted to, but just for the sake of time, let's just do our little marquee box around that particular frequency that's problematic over here, and let's delete it. Let's do another one around the frequency that's problematic over her, and let's delete that. Good. Okay, good. And let's listen to it.
There, but once the actors and dancers started seeing
pretty good, I mean, we could do some like EQ or whatever. Let's do some amplitude and compression. Let's go to dynamics. No, it's not what I want. I want dynamics processing. And here I took off some higher frequencies. This is like my default, and I like the way it sounds.
Camera, make me a model, you know, make me feel uncomfortable. I had no idea that I was going to be part of an international campaign that he was shooting with Fujifilm, let alone that I was going to end up being the...
Okay, I'm going to press apply. So I apply a couple of compressors to it. Good. And now looks like there's a couple of pops that are happening here as well. Let's listen. That doesn't matter because they're in the middle of nothing. Or this one isn't, though. This one looks like it's in the middle of a word. Let's listen.
On camera. And part of that was...
Nope, it's fine. All right, I'm going to save that. Right, so now I have this version that's saved of it that's called copy, right? So now what I can do is I can go over to right click, reveal in project. So here's still the original one, right? Still the one that I want to replace. Go to right click, replace footage, and then go to my copies folder and then choose the copy that I have just edited, right? And it will now replace every instance with that copy. Ta-da! I have a question. Should you denoise first and amplify after, or amplify first and denoise after that? Very good question. In my experience, there hasn't been a huge difference either way. Because the thing is, if you're amplifying before you denoise, you're just amplifying everything, including the noise, and then you're taking that noise away. If you're taking the noise away first and then you're amplifying, it's kind of the same thing to me. Like, I haven't really found a difference. I like amplifying it because I can actually see the noise. Like if it's very, very faint, then I can't see it. So good question, though. So that's one way you could do it. Another way that you could do this is because this, remember, all of these clips the clip that I was just doing, the audio was recorded separately, right? And that's how I was able to extract it, or how I was able to copy the file itself and find the file, because the file was in my audio folder, because it's a separate file, right? It's not from the actual video. It's not attached to the actual video in the first place. It's just a separate audio file. But what if it is? So this particular project I did, and I recorded everything directly into the camera using a lavalier microphone that was directly into the camera. So you can listen to it here. Hear what it sounds like. Into that corner right there. You see the corner? So every microphone has a noise floor. It has a certain amount of handling noise that is just going to exist no matter what. And on top of that, it's just the noise of your room in general. I happen to live next to a freeway, so I always have freeway noise. And that is the kind of stuff that I always want to get rid of, right? So something that I like to do in this situation is I'll lay out all of my A-roll on the same timeline, and then I'll select all of it. As you can see, I'm selecting every bit of audio. I'm selecting literally every clip, and then I'll send all those clips to Audition, edit clip in Adobe Audition. For the sake of this tutorial, because that's going to take a while for them to all send over there, I'm probably only going to select a few just for the sake of the tutorial. Okay. So for the sake of the tutorial, I'm actually going to I'm going to highlight the ones that I'm sending over so that you know which ones. So label, let's make them red, just so you know that those are the ones I'm going to be sending over. And right click, edit clip in Adobe Audition. So I'll usually, if the audio is already attached to the video, and I know that ahead of time, I'll go ahead and edit these in Adobe Audition before I even get to the cutting phase, or at least like just the general audio cleanup. I'll do that before I start cutting. It's not going to completely delete all of my original audio, because remember, my original audio is still connected to my video clips. So it's totally fine that I have it going over here. All right, so I have these audios here. They are all the ones that I know that I have a lot of stuff here now because I've been editing all this in the Audition, but they're all the ones that are that say V on them. So all the V ones are the ones that I've just sent over. And there's a couple of things that I want to note. So if you're always recording in the same space, and your mic always sounds the same, and you're always trying to put the same type of correction on everything, you can create what is called a favorite inside of Audition. And then every time you run your audio through, you just run it through your favorite instead of having to do like the amplify and the dynamics processing and the noise reduction. You can just use a favorite. So in this case, I have this giant clip here, which has large sections of just noise. So I'm going to use that for my noise reduction. And so I'm going to select a large section of it, go to Shift P. Now, before I do my noise reduction, my actual noise reduction, I'm going to go to Favorites, and I'm going to say Start Recording Favorite. So I'm going to start recording everything I do. So now I'm going to go to Shift Command P, and I'm going to apply the noise reduction effect. Let me listen to something first.
Do like a basic culling first, because I don't want all of these. So I'm going to uncheck all of them, and let's just do.
We have the noise reduction slider, and then we have the reduce by slider. And I'm doing my best to basically bring the green line. Oh, I can actually do colors on this, right? Yes, I can do colors. So I'm doing my best to bring the green line and the yellow line together without it sounding like a robot. So as you can see, as I move these sliders, the yellow line and the green line, they can move together. So I'm trying to put them together without it sounding like a robot. That's the goal.
Like a basic culling first, because I don't want all of these. So I'm gonna uncheck all of them. And
that sounds good to me. Let's listen to it with and without. So this is with the noise reduction.
Indeed. Okay, great. There's a lot to choose from here.
And then this is without.
So that's good.
Pretty good. So I'm going to say apply. And you can see here in my history, the very first thing that I've done is apply noise reduction, right? But now my levels are a little low, so I'm going to amplify them by hovering over the decibel meter over here and amplifying slightly. And you can see amplify has been added. Then next, let me do something like, let's do another one. Let's go to effects, amplitude and compression, dynamics processing. Let's add this dynamics curve that I really like.
Back at my computer. And I think we got it.
And then let's do a little bit of effects. Let's go to filter and EQ. Let's go to parametric equalizer. This is the vocal enhancer preset.
So now I'm just going to cull through, select only the ones that I want to bring in. But I think that there's quite a lot actually. So I'm pretty pleased with them.
No, I'm not going to do that one. I'm probably going to do, let's see here, favorites, de-esser. I'm definitely going to de-ess it. Okay, so I've added noise reduction, amplified, dynamics processing, and de-esser, right? And I'm going to say favorites, stop recording favorite. And then I'm going to give it a name. So I'm going to say default lav mic. I'm going to say, okay. And then save it. So now all I have to do, instead of doing all that over and over again, all I have to do is go to each one of them and then go to favorites and then select default lav mic. And as each one is working, I can just go to the next one and keep going, and those favorites are going to be applied. So one thing I also want to talk about is healing because we have like a hot second, I think, to do that. So let's talk about healing and, right, Paco? I think I hear you in my ear. We have about 10 minutes left, so that's actually perfect to talk about. How to find where the pop or noise are in spectral frequency. Good question, Fairy. I'm about to show you that. So how to find it is that you can hear it. That's how you find it. But you can also see it visually in the spectral frequency display. So let's go to, I actually noted where it is. So let me go to, this one is 488, and it's right at the beginning. So yeah, 488 right at the beginning. Let's listen to it and we'll start hearing some funny noises.
I'm gonna put my camera on this travel tripod and then just put it up.
Hear that? That's where I hit my mic, right? And it immediately is just like an ear-shattering, grating sound. But I didn't know that. I did not know that. I didn't know that because I can't monitor my audio while I'm recording it at the same time. So I didn't know that that happened. I'm going to play it again. I'm sorry for your ears.
And then just
yikes, right? And as I zoom in, you can see on the spectral frequency display, it is just very obvious where that is located. I'm going to make it blue. Very, very obvious. It's right here. So one thing that you can do is up in your track over here, in your waveform, just select that region. And I'm also going to select, you can see that it's hot right at the middle, but it also fades out on the sides over here. So as far as the selection, I'm not going to just select the middle of it. I'm going to select a little bit before the fade and a little bit after the fade. And then I'm going to go to favorites. The very first favorite is auto heal, and that's what I'm going to use. And there we go. And now let's play through it.
Tripod and then just put it up here on.
It just sounds like, you know, just like a regular footstep instead of that like ear-shattering sound.
And then just put it up here on the travel tripod and then just put it up here on this little ledge. And that's it. Super easy.
Okay, but what if it's something that is just egregious and not that obvious? What if it's something that lasts for a while, like a siren? Could you heal a siren out? Yeah, you can. So let's go to this one. And I can immediately see where the siren is. Can you identify where the siren sound is in this video? If I pull up the spectral frequency display and I zoom in, can you see the siren? It's very obvious. And it's actually pretty cool to see because as sirens do, as ambulances do, they tend to, or cop cars, they tend to come close and then drive away, right? So you can see that it starts coming in, and then, oh, here it is. It's right outside my window, and then it fades out, right? So instead of using something like what we did before, where we select an entire section, because when we select an entire section, that is when we have some sort of blip that pretty much cuts through the entire frequency range. Here, it's a very, very specific frequency. So let's listen to the siren and then let's paint it out, literally paint it out.
I think I'm just going to take this LS1/2 because it has a very wide beam angle. I think that this will be really, really good for... I'm just going to take this LS1/2 because it has a very wide beam angle, and
normally you wouldn't actually speak through a siren, but I recorded this specifically for this tutorial. Normally you would just pause and then, you know, not talk and wait for the siren to leave. So we're using the spot healing brush tool, which if you know Photoshop, you're familiar with, and it's right up here. So you select that, and it actually has a width. It's kind of hard to see because I have the circle around my mouse, the yellow one. But what I'm going to do is I am going to just adjust the size of it a little bit down so it's not as egregious of a circle. And then I'm going to paint out that that siren. So I'm just going to go alongside it and heal just those frequencies that the siren touches. Now, of course, we're not going to get rid of the siren sound in a way that it's completely not there, right? But we are going to dampen it. We're going to dampen it enough that if you happen to put music underneath it later in your edit, you won't hear it at all. And it actually goes through several different frequencies, not just the low one. It has actually 3 different frequencies that it attacks. So we're going to go through it. And I'm also doing this pretty quickly because this is a live stream. If I was doing this for real, I would take a lot more time and care with it. You know. Just trying to paint it out, literally trying to get rid of those lines. And yeah, okay, so let's listen to that. So here I didn't paint it yet, so you can hear it a little bit.
I think I'm just going to take this LS1/2 because it has a very wide beam angle. I think that this will be
where I started painting.
Really good for... I'm just going to take this LS1/2 because it has a very wide beam angle. And
so yeah, you can just keep painting it. But as you can see, that it was dulled by quite a lot. Here in the middle, actually, I can auto heal it because it's not cutting through any of my audio. But then when I auto healed it, it actually auto healed the noise up there, and that could actually sound a lot more abrupt than anything if just noise all of a sudden is auto healed out.
Really good for...
See that?
I'm just going to take the...
So we're going to keep the noise in. A lot of times, another reason why you want to record noise is so that you keep it throughout. So if you're cutting to, let's say, a B-roll clip or something, you use noise to fill in so that it doesn't sound abrupt. Let's heal some other stuff. That was just a breath.
Because it has a very wide beam.
I mean, yeah, you can see even this breath here that I breathed, it was a different frequency and it's up here. So if I wanted to get rid of it, because a lot of times, you know, random mouth sounds are off-putting for people, then I could heal it. So I can, again, go to my frequency or go to my spot healing brush before. Let's play the before. You can hear that intake of breath. Maybe this is something where you're recording music, you're singing, and then in between you're taking a breath.
That's good.
So you can heal that out. Let me increase the size of it a little bit. And then play it. Ta-da! Ta-da! And then you can save that. And as you save it, and then head over to Premiere, which one was it? It doesn't really matter which one it was because we're adjusting the entire clip, right? So none of those trim handles are lost. And then we can start editing. And then on top of that, we can go then into dialogue and sweeten it if we want to with the essential sound panel. But at least a lot of those like pops are gotten rid of. And the cool thing is that after you edit it, say, so you've like cut this up and you've edited it and like everything is, you know, everything is in a different spot or whatever, everything's been edited, something like that, right? So everything's already been edited, but you still want to adjust this clip, or maybe you found a different pop that you didn't find before. You can always go back into Audition, adjust it, save it, and it will automatically save over there. That is my time. Thank you so much for being here with me and learning about audio editing. I hope you learned something new. And until next time, my name is Valentina Vee. You can follow me on my social media. Have a great rest of your day, everybody.